Alliance of Necessity. The Federation medical bay aboard the Benevolent Wisdom had never been so crowded. Injured humans lay on beds designed for dozens of different alien physiologies, their resilience astonishing the Federation medical staff. Injuries that would have killed most Federation species seemed merely to inconvenience these Deathworlders. Dr. Ilara Sen, the ship's chief medical officer, examined a wounded human pilot whose shuttle had been shot down during the battle. Despite 3 broken ribs, a fractured arm, and significant blood loss, the human, Lieutenant James Chen, remained conscious and alert. "You should be in critical condition," Dr. Sen remarked, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as she studied his vitals. Lieutenant Chen managed a pained smile. "Just patch me up and get me back out there, Doc. My squadron needs me." Dr. Sen's translator implant rendered his words perfectly, but the concept behind them was harder to process. "You wish to return to combat with these injuries. That's the job," Chen replied simply. In another corner of the medical bay, Science Officer Tren continued analyzing the harvester communications they had intercepted. Commander Vasquez and Admiral Kelver stood nearby, both leaders exhausted but unwilling to rest, while their forces continued fighting above Earth. "The pattern is clear," Tren explained, displaying a holographic timeline. "The harvesters have been monitoring human communications for at least 3 Earth years. They began their deception campaign 6 months ago, first with subtle misinformation about Federation protocols, then escalating to direct threats supposedly from us. And they did the same to you," Vasquez added, "making it appear we were hostile and uncooperative." Kelver's crest drooped with fatigue. "A classic division strategy. Had we arrived with a negative perception of humanity, any defensive posture you took would have confirmed our biases. The question is why," Vasquez said. "Why go to such lengths? Harvesters typically just attack without warning." Trend manipulated the holographic display, showing Earth and its surrounding space. "I believe I've found the answer. Your planet has something unique, something the harvesters desperately want." The hologram zoomed in on Earth's crust, highlighting mineral deposits around the planet. "Element 126, Trend continued. "What you call unbehexium. It's theoretically possible that hasn't been discovered in the Federation. Yet your planet has naturally occurring deposits, small but significant. The stabilized super-heavy element." Dr. Richards joined the conversation, looking intrigued despite his exhaustion. "We've only recently begun to understand its properties. It shouldn't exist naturally, but there it is. To the harvesters, it's invaluable," Kelver explained. "Their crystalline technology requires specific elements for their quantum matrices. Element 126 would allow them to enhance their weapons and drives beyond anything we've encountered. So they wanted us fighting each other while they extracted it," Vasquez concluded. "Clever." A tactical officer interrupted with urgent news. "Admiral, Commander, the Harvester fleet is changing formation. They're concentrating forces near Earth's North Polar region." The hologram shifted to show the battle. After nearly 16 hours of fighting, both sides had taken losses. 7 human vessels had been destroyed, along with 3 Federation ships that had arrived as reinforcements. The harvesters had lost more than 20 ships but still outnumbered the defenders. "That's where our largest unbehexium deposit is located," Dr. Richards said, pointing to the polar region. "Beneath the ice sheet. They're going for extraction," Kelvor realized. "If they get those resources." "They won't," Vasquez said firmly. She turned to her communications officer. "Contact General Santos. I want Operation Thunderhead ready in 30 minutes." In the Benevolent Wisdom's hangar bay, Federation engineers worked alongside human technicians, modifying a squadron of Earth's fighter craft. The scene was chaos to untrained eyes. Dozens of different species calling instructions in multiple languages, the translation matrix struggling to keep up with technical terminology. Lieutenant Chen, his wounds bandaged and supported by a Federation medical exoskeleton, supervised the modifications to his fighter. Your propulsion system is remarkably robust, despite its primitive design, commented Chief Engineer Vril, a Tarkasian with 4 arms and specialized manipulator appendages. But these weapon systems, kinetic projectiles and chemical explosives, how do you expect to penetrate harvester crystalline hulls? We don't need to penetrate them, Chen explained, pointing to a schematic. Just fracture them along their lattice points. Your sensors identified their structural weaknesses. We're reconfiguring our weapons to target those specifically. Kelver raised a ceremonial chalice. Therefore, by the authority vested in me by the Galactic Council, I hereby waive the standard observation period for Earth. Humanity has proven its worth not through peaceful development, but through its actions when faced with crisis. The Federation welcomes Earth as a full member world, effective immediately. Applause filled the chamber, representatives from 18 different species celebrating the unprecedented decision. Later, as the formal reception continued, Kelver found Vasquez standing by a viewport, looking down at Earth. "You seem troubled, Commander," he observed. "Is the accelerated membership not to your liking?" Vasquez smiled slightly. "It's not that. I'm thinking about what comes next. The harvesters will return eventually, and there are likely other threats out there we haven't encountered yet." "Indeed," Kelvor agreed. "But now we face them together. Your scientists are already working with ours to develop new technologies based on Element 126. Your military strategists are sharing tactics our forces never considered. And most importantly, you've brought a new perspective to the Federation, one shaped by evolution on a challenging world." "Deathworlders," Vasquez said with a slight smile. "It sounds so ominous." "Perhaps we should find a new term," Kelver suggested. "Forged worlders, perhaps. Those shaped by adversity into something stronger." "I like that," Vasquez replied. She raised her glass to the stars visible beyond Earth's curve, to new alliances and new challenges. The galaxy won't know what hit it. As celebration continued around them, both leaders knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had emerged onto the galactic stage, not with tentative steps, but with a confident stride, bringing with them the unique strength and adaptability that only evolution on a death world could produce. The harvesters had triggered a distress signal, hoping to create conflict between humans and the Federation. Instead, they had forged an alliance that would reshape galactic politics for centuries to come. Proof that even species from radically different evolutionary backgrounds could find common purpose when faced with shared threats. And across the galaxy, word began to spread of the newest Federation members, the Deathworlders of Earth, whose arrival had changed everything. What they saw there stunned them into momentary silence. The harvesters had deployed a massive extraction device, a crystalline drill that pulsed with energy as it bored through the ice toward the precious element below. "If they reach the deposit," Talek said, "they'll have enough power to overwhelm both our fleets." Ortiz checked the resonance emitters they had carried, 5 devices that needed to be positioned around the extraction site. "Then we make sure they don't," she said simply. "Richards, is your team ready?" Dr. Richards' voice came through the comm from orbit. "Ready, Captain. But we need all 5 emitters placed precisely according to the coordinates we sent you." "Understood," Ortiz replied. She turned to the team. 5 volunteers. We go in fast, place the emitters, and provide covering fire for each other. Every hand raised, human and Federation alike. On the bridge of the benevolent wisdom, Kelver and Vasquez watched the battle unfold both in space and on Earth's surface. The human fighters had proven remarkably effective, destroying 7 more harvester vessels with minimal losses, but the main harvester ship remained intact, directing the ground operation. "The strike team has reached the extraction site," reported a communications officer. "They're deploying the emitters now." "Tell Dr. Richards to stand by," Vasquez ordered. "The moment all emitters are in position, he needs to activate the resonance field." Kelver studied the human commander with newfound respect. Throughout the crisis, she had shown not just courage, but a strategic mind that rivaled the Federation's best. "Your people fight with remarkable determination," he observed. "It's not about being stronger or more aggressive," Vasquez replied, her eyes still on the tactical display. "It's about adaptation. On Earth, we learned early that survival means working together against common threats, whether those were predators, natural disasters, or our own worst impulses. Perhaps that is why you evolved on your death world," Kelver suggested. "Not despite its challenges, but because of them." Before Vasquez could respond, the tactical display flashed with urgent updates. "Captain Ortiz reports all emitters in place," announced the communications officer. "But they're under heavy fire." On the Antarctic ice, the strike team had formed a defensive perimeter around the 5 emitters, each device now glowing with building energy. Harvester forces converged on their position, recognizing the threat. "Dr. Richards," Ortiz called through the comm as she fired at advancing crystalline forms. "Any time now would be good." "Initiating resonance field," Richards replied from orbit. 10 seconds to full power." The emitters pulsed in sequence, creating an energy pattern that spread outward. Nothing seemed to happen at first. Then the crystalline harvesters nearest to the emitters began to vibrate. Cracks appeared in their structures, spreading rapidly. "It's working," Talix exclaimed. In orbit, the effect spread to the harvester vessels. Their crystalline hulls fractured along previously invisible fault lines, energy systems failing as the resonance disrupted their molecular bonds. "All harvester ships are losing power," reported the tactical officer. "Their structures are destabilizing." The main harvester vessel, recognizing the threat, attempted to retreat, but the resonance field had already compromised its drive systems. It began breaking apart, fragments spinning away into Earth orbit. On the ice, the surviving harvester ground forces collapsed into inert crystal shards, the resonance destroying the energy patterns that gave them cohesion. "Victory confirmed," Captain Ortiz reported, her voice exhausted but triumphant. "The deposit is secure." 1 week later, representatives from Earth and the Galactic Federation gathered aboard the Benevolent Wisdom for a formal ceremony. The ship orbited Earth, its viewports offering a spectacular view of the blue-green planet below. Admiral Kelver, wearing full ceremonial regalia, stood before an assembled group of humans and Federation officials. Commander Vasquez stood beside him, her uniform adorned with a new insignia, a symbol combining Earth and Federation emblems. "The events of the past week have challenged many of our assumptions," Kelver began. "For generations, the Federation has operated under the belief that species evolve best in peaceful environments, that harmony with nature leads to harmony with others." He gestured toward the human delegation. "Humanity has shown us a different path, one forged through adversity and challenge. Your species evolved on what we call a death world, yet you developed not just technology, but philosophy, art, and a determination to reach for the stars." Vasquez stepped forward. "And we've learned that despite our different evolutionary paths, cooperation achieves more than conflict. The harvesters sought to divide us. Instead, they brought us together." Vrill's facial ridges flushed blue with surprise. "You analyzed their crystalline structure and adapted your weapons in hours." Chen shrugged, then winced as the motion pulled at his injuries. "Adapt or die. That's the human way." Across the hangar, Commander Vasquez briefed a mixed team of human and Federation special forces. Operation Thunderhead was a desperate gambit. While the space battle continued as a diversion, the strike team would deploy to Earth's surface, directly to the Unbehexium deposit. Their mission: protect the resource at all costs. "The harvesters will send extraction teams," Vasquez explained. "They'll be heavily armed and singularly focused. Our advantage is in knowing the terrain and fighting as a unified force." A Federation security officer, Talix, raised a hand. "Commander, with respect, my people are not adapted for combat on a Class 4 world. The gravity alone." "You'll be equipped with our best environmental suits," Kelver interjected. "And you won't be fighting alone." Vasquez nodded gratefully to the Admiral. This is why we train. This is why we prepare. Today, we fight not just for humanity, but for every species that values freedom and self-determination. As the briefing concluded, Dr. Richards approached Vasquez with an urgent expression. "Commander, I've been working with Science Officer Tren. We've devised a potential way to end this conflict without further bloodshed." Vasquez raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." Element 126 has unique properties under specific energy frequencies, Richards explained. "If we can amplify those properties, we might be able to disrupt the harvester ship's crystalline matrices directly." "You're talking about a resonance weapon," Vasquez said, understanding immediately. Richards nodded. "Precisely. But we'd need to deploy emitters at the deposit site itself. The strike team would need to hold the position long enough for us to calibrate them." Vasquez considered the scientist's plan, then glanced at Kelver. "Your thoughts, Admiral?" "It's theoretically sound," Kelver replied after consulting with Tren via Neural Link. "But we've never attempted anything like this against the harvesters. It's a significant risk." "This entire situation is a risk," Vasquez countered. "Add the emitters to the mission profile. We'll make it work." The Antarctic landscape gleamed white under the midnight sun as drop ships descended through Earth's atmosphere. The strike team, 15 humans and 10 Federation specialists, deployed 2 kilometers from the Unbehexium deposit, using the ice ridges for cover. Captain Maya Ortiz, leader of the human contingent, checked her thermal imaging. "Harvester ships detected. They're already landing extraction equipment 3 clicks east of the deposit." Beside her, Federation Security Chief Talix struggled to move in Earth's gravity despite his advanced exosuit. "They're moving faster than anticipated," he observed, his breath labored. "Then so will we," Ortiz replied. She signaled the team forward, the humans taking point with Federation members providing technological support. Above them, the space battle entered a new phase. The modified human fighters launched from both Earth bases and Federation ships, forming mixed squadrons that confused harvester targeting systems. Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled over the comm as his squadron approached the main harvester vessel. "Thunderbird Squadron, form up. Remember, target the crystal junctions with concentrated fire, just like we practiced." The human fighters darted between larger Federation vessels, using their smaller size and exceptional maneuverability to evade harvester energy weapons. When they fired, their modified kinetic weapons struck with precision, causing crystalline fractures that spread across the enemy hulls. Back on the Antarctic ice, the strike team encountered the first harvester ground forces, 8-foot crystalline constructs that moved with unsettling fluidity across the snow. Their bodies refracted the sunlight in disorienting patterns, making them difficult to target. "Hold formation," Ortiz commanded as the harvesters opened fire with energy weapons that melted through the ice. "Defensive positions, pattern Alpha." The humans responded with practiced efficiency, forming a semicircle and returning fire. Their weapons, conventional on the surface but modified with Federation targeting technology, found weak points in the crystalline entities. Talix and his Federation team deployed a series of small devices that generated localized energy fields, disrupting the harvester's internal communication network. The crystalline beings faltered momentarily, their movements becoming erratic. "Push forward," Ortiz ordered. "We need to reach the deposit."